If you saw my last video, you know I had some issues, so we're gonna try this again. This is part 2, take 2. Sorry the sound is so off. I'm gonna say turn up your volume. Thank you. I recently watched a YouTube video with a young woman who went over her history of how she ended up living in a car, and I want to drop that YouTube video link in the description below so you can see what I'm talking about. You guys should really check out her videos. They're really great, and they definitely focus on Washington, Oregon, and sleeping in your car. And I wanted to use that video as a jumping off starting point for my video series to go a little bit over my history of going on road trips, sleeping in my car, traveling from state to state. First of all, I was born in Los Angeles, California. I had family in both California and Arizona growing up, so there was a lot of time that we would travel back and forth between Los Angeles and Arizona, driving through the desert, doing road trips, going back and forth as a kid. And then when I was about high school age, we actually moved to Arizona, but we would still travel back and forth. Some of what I may have mentioned in my last video, and I'd like to mention in this video, is that after I learned to drive and I was old enough to be out on my own, I used to do a lot of road trips between Arizona, where I was living, back to California to visit family and to go and hang out and have fun. But one thing about living in Arizona is you're also very close to the Mexico border. You're close to Las Vegas. It's very easy to just get in your car and drive. You can maybe in 5 hours be in California. You could be at the beach. You could be up in Las Vegas having fun. Backtrack a little, I will like to talk about after high school. I did not go to college right away. I did go and get a job, get my own apartment, have my own car, and worked for a while before I actually did end up going to school. And part of the reason I was able to go to school is through financial aid, because I was not making very much money. Financial aid was able to cover a dorm room for me, so not only did I have classes covered, but the dorm room. One thing I had to pay for was my own meal plan. The other thing I had to pay for was my books. And my school had a program where you could work a part-time job at the school and it would go towards your tuition. I'm not sure if that's a common program that schools have now, but that's how it was when I went to school. And I worked in the school library, and then I also worked overnight doing some janitorial work. Now, oddly, my school schedule, I only had classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which meant the rest of the week I was totally free to do whatever I wanted. But I used that time to go on road trips. A lot of the traveling I did was between Phoenix, Arizona and Tucson, Arizona, which is about like a 2-hour drive at the most with traffic. Going back and forth, if I did not have a friend's house to stay at between Phoenix and Tucson, then I would usually just sleep in my car. Made it a lot easier. There were a lot of bands I saw play live during that time, and that was a very exciting, fun time in my life, as you can imagine. So there were a lot of opportunities when it came to road trips, and I mentioned that in my last video, kind of what it's like just sleeping on the road. If you're not staying in hotels, definitely sleeping in your car. And sleeping in your car isn't always very comfortable if you don't plan ahead. So a lot of truck stops along the way between those cities, and those are opportunities. Like, instead of staying at campsites where you have to actually pay to park somewhere, you can just stay at rest stops and truck stops, and I'll get a little more into that in some future videos. Now, as I got older, I definitely worked like regular 9-to-5 jobs, had my own place to live, was very settled in my life, and I still like to go on road trips just for fun. And so obviously we're going to fast forward to where I'm at in life now, but a majority of my videos have to do with the year 2016, because that is when I actually moved from Arizona to the state of Washington. Before I get into the details of what led me to moving to Washington, I will definitely talk about that in a future video. But a lot of this happened, like I said, in 2016, and there was a lot of preparation that went into moving and not really having a place to live, a permanent place to live. So that led to me basically living in my car. Now, I say I lived in my car for about 6 months, probably like 6 to 7 months. So even after that, I had some temporary housing. And then in 2019, I actually lived full-time in a travel trailer. A travel trailer meaning not an RV, but a trailer that's connected to a vehicle. So you still could move it around. And then basically it had like full kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, all of that. And so that's where, you know, a lot of my videos will talk about what it's like living in an actual car. In my case, a two-door car. And then what it's like moving on up to what people might refer to as a RV recreational vehicle. But it was a travel trailer, so it actually needs to be pulled by another vehicle. And then, of course, where I'm at now, I'm not living in my car anymore. But I definitely want to talk about my history, my progression of how I got from one spot to the next.